Kibuguakwe Kabosori Konewa, and we're gonna join the studio in just about a few minutes so that we can get our program for the Starr Radio done. Good morning.
For Northern District. Yes, Northern District Hospital. Yes, we're looking at all that when we come back. But now it is gone exactly 11 o'clock, and we promise and we deliver. And I've got with me the one and only white lion, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. And let me go to him and say, good morning to you, Yomi.
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie, and a good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the globe. And welcome once again to, if I'm right, I believe today is the 30th.
Yes,
the 30th, because, the month is quite, running fast on us, and it's great to be back again with you. We couldn't join yesterday, but we have, the time to join, and I do know we are pressed with time on a Wednesday like this, but we have a lot to discuss because there's a lot happening on the other side of the globe. Good morning to you, Mr. Archie.
Good morning. How are you? How is the family? How is work?
Well, the family is doing very well, and we're still, doing what we do best, making sure that, we serve the community and we engage the community, and we also, do our best for humanity, because that is, I think, the reason why, most of us, are on this earth. And on the Starr Radio UK, what we do is, we bring the global news closer home, because a lot of our, Africans that have traveled, really wants to know what is going on in Ghana, what is going on in Kenya, and also, what is going on within their community here. So the family are doing very well. They're still on that 1 week break. That literally means that, more consumption of food, more consumption of drinks, and the noise in the house is something that we just have to manage.
Yeah, that is good. That makes us know that we are enjoying, right? Good. Okay. Yes, I know that we are pressed with time, so we'll just crack on. Now, cost stop CBN from releasing allocation to Rivers government. Now, we know that there have been lots of the sit down home strike, and all those things that's going on there. Is it why the court has given the court has stopped the CBN from releasing funds to them, or what is the undertone? What is causing that to happen?
Well, if we go back to Rivers State, it's one of the states that has a lot of, issues, when it comes to, power tussle again. When it comes to power tussle in Africa, it looks like, somebody is pressing the button, and sometimes, when the button are pressed, it does affect, people, and it does affect, our community as well. So if we go back to Rivers State, Rivers State is a very unique state. Is a state that also have, quite a lot of resources when it comes to the crude oil. The previous, governor, let me take you back, was one time former minister of transportation, Rotimi Amechi. Rotimi Amechi was very powerful in Rivers State until Wike came in. And Wike became another very powerful, that he was able to hold on, to strangulate, the PDP during the 2023 election, because, the 5G governors that he was one of a member did not endorse their party, position. Rather, Wike, became, the obstacle with the PDP. Well, Wike thought he could hold on to Rivers State while he's no longer the governor. Wike is now been given the position of the FCT minister by the current administration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But apparently, the new governor, Fubara, who was also, a boy to Wike, has now taken charge, and he doesn't seem to be listening to Wike. So who is now pressing the button from the federal to make sure that, court has now decided to stop the Central Bank of Nigeria from releasing allocation to Rivers State? That is the breaking news that was coming just before we came on air. The court held that the presentation of the 2024 budget by the current governor of Fubara before a 4-member Rivers House of Assembly was affront to the Constitution provision. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court in Abuja has now stopped the central bank from further releasing any monthly financial allocation to Rivers State government. Justice Abdulmalik held that the receipt and the disbursement of the monthly allocation since January this year by the Rivers Governor Similaye Fubara was literally a breach of the Constitution and the aberration that must not be allowed to continue. So that is the current situation right now. We've not heard from the governor. We've not know what is going to be the next reaction. But like I said, it seems that this is something that tells you that power tussle in politics, you don't joke with it.
That's why they say when two elephants fight, the grass that suffers, because that money, that budget is supposed to help with the state, that's the River State itself, not just to Wike or Fubara, who is in position at this time. But let's see what happens. We'll be following very, very closely. Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and let's go to the next story. Now, when it comes to insecurity, because we know that this has caused lots of troubles, lots and lots. Now, insecurity, we have farmers who go to their farms, and we have with the Fulani herdsmen coming in. Now we have bandits coming in and all that stuff. And they are saying that food crisis, 23 farming communities flee as bandits occupy military training camp. So even the security apparatus that's supposed to help these individuals or these communities for them to go about their duties, they have been overrun. So what hope does the communities have? Yomi?
Well, when the news, came out yesterday that the military barracks have been overrun, by the terrorists in Nigeria, it is not the first time that we are getting, this kind of news. But what is more concerned is what this current administration will do differently from the previous one that a lot of people expected a former military general, will be able to deal with. Tinubu is not a military personnel, is a civilian. How he's going to manage the situation is what a lot of us will not be able to tell. But like I said, the concern now is that the military training ground has now become a terrorist training ground. The 23 communities surrounding that particular location are also being affected. That means that, the community that is surrounding Niger, where these military barracks are no longer safe. And when the news came out yesterday, when I saw the news, I was not shocked, because it takes us back to the former naval officer, Kunle Olayomi, that told us that the military barracks are well open on a Friday, and many, Islamic terrorists, Boko Haram, also had the privilege to come and pray, see what is happening there, and they can invade that particular military barracks. Military barracks in Nigeria continue to be attacked, not today, but this particular news yesterday is now becoming many of such that many Nigerians are wondering, when is this going to stop? Or are we going just to continue with the situation where Nigerians are struggling due to the fact that the economy is strangulation and many of these terrorist attacks, which is now meaning that the military are finding it very difficult to curtail, the terrorist activities in Nigeria?
Well, if you're listening to us, maybe you have an inkling into what is going on there, and you think that maybe the government is doing very, very well. Let us know. If not, you have any alternative suggestion, let us know that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, Miss Olayomi Koiki in London, and I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria on the Starr Radio UK morning show. Come to way every weekday from 10:30. Now, I am embarrassed. Now, we didn't talk about that. A governor who was daring the driver that is going to cause him to vanish and nobody can do anything. Now, he goes on there to say, I am embarrassed. I don't know what his party has said about him. I don't know what it, because it's this part of the world, and you go on and we have that. Yesterday, we had that of the, that was Monday, we had that of one of the, members of the Labour Party who went on punching somebody, and he's been suspended for further, investigation to be conducted to see whether he's still even okay, to even stand as a parliamentarian. But this is a case where this person has come to apologize. I bet you they would have swept the whole thing under the carpet. Yomi.
Well, the expectation that he will be suspended, the expectation that, the police would have called him for questioning, the expectation by many Nigerians is that Alex Ikwegwach action will be under probe. That is the only information that is coming, from the House of Representatives, that he has apologized on the floor of the lawmaking body over his assault on a taxi hailing service driver after the driver delivered, snail. And, we saw the video where he actually said that the driver will be vanished, and all kind of other, conversation between the boat driver and this particular, member of the House of Representatives. Although he released a statement earlier apologizing for the act, the lawmaker on the floor of our representative yesterday regretted his action, said he was embarrassed by the development. But Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, I just want to state once again that I am human, even though there were things that were said, and those things I regret. I apologize to all Nigerians regardless of the provocation. The Abia lawmaker says that there should be no reason why I should react in that form. So I want to use this opportunity to appeal to all Nigerians. Let what has happened remain in the past, and let us forge forward. Whether Nigerians agree to that or not, we expect, to see what happened from the investigation going on in the police in Abuja. But as usual, these are powerful individuals. These are cabals that we talked about. These are people that oppress the average Nigerians, but it's telling us to forge ahead and forgive and forget.
Well, if you are listening to us and you think that to forgive and forget is the way forward, because we are looking at the progress of the country as a whole, fine, let us know what you think about that. Let us know your comments, because I don't think this should be swept under the carpet, because they are ones who are supposed to set good examples. And if you are going on insulting people and doing all those things, if I go on to do that to somebody, are you going to tell the police to apprehend me and throw me in prison? Have I set a good example? Well, this is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Archie here in the studios and with Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and we are bringing you nothing but the Starr Radio UK morning show and updates from Nigeria. Now, Yomi, let's go to the fuel.
Well, let me let you listen to this before we go on to the fuel. And this is, Dangote reacting after, a visit to the presidency and his speech yesterday.
Producers, I have a refinery. I'm not in the business of retail. If I'm in the business of retail, then you hold me responsible. But what I'm saying is that the retailers should please come forward and pick. If they don't come forward and pick, what do you want me to do? That's nothing that I can do. So I am expecting either NNPC or the marketers to stop importing. They should come and collect. We have what they need. And, as they remove, I'll be pumping. I don't know whether you understand what it takes to keep 500 million liters inside our tank. It's costing me money. Every day, if I will be able to collect the naira, I can actually charge somebody 32% in interest. So right now, that's what I'm losing. And you are talking about 500 billion. We don't print money. But the issue is that if they come and collect, then you will not see any queues in the filling stations. We have what it takes for them to come and collect. We are not retailers. We also don't have trucks to send. We have a factory where we can load. If they come and pick, they will go and distribute. And they've been doing that with importation. So if they have been doing that with importation, if it's true they are doing 55 million, I see no reason why they won't come and collect and distribute.
Well, maybe you want to react to that before we move further, but that is a Dangote reaction, yesterday with the press in Abuja.
Yes, I think when Dangote was starting, when he was establishing the refinery, we did talk about that, because I said, look, there are people who are importing finished products, okay, petrol, diesel, and all that, aviation fuel into the country. And the moment Dangote comes in, it's going to impact their businesses. But others were thinking, no, they can still come to Dangote's refinery because all that you want is to just sell the fuel, the finished product. So why don't you come there and come and buy from him and just send it to your various pump stations or retail stations? But it looks like the NNPCL, they are causing lots of problems because they are seeing to the importation of fuel into the country. Meanwhile, the president has said that they should sell the crude to Dangote and those who are refining fuel in the country locally in Naira so that the scarce dollars will remain in the country so it could be used for other things. But I don't know whether the NNPCL are a different group of people having their own law. They do whatever they want. Maybe you have to tell me more about that because I don't get it.
Well, before I tell you more about that, let's see the reaction underneath the video that we just listened to. This Ando says, a day will come when we will realize that Dangote is not our problem, is rather a savior. They are not importing because they don't know there is enough in Nigeria. They are importing because most of them refines outside the shores of the country. God will help us. According to another Ando here says, so we don't get refinery now. Marketers, no one buy the fuel. This country turned my brain. And I'll take two more. If Dangote is truly a billionaire, business-minded man, he should make his business product attractive. Learn from Elon Musk. And the last one says, I wish he can just open his own fuel station and sell. The others will sit up. The question is, we have a $1 billion refinery that has been fully in operation in Lagos State. The expectation is that marketers will patronize these rather than use the dollar. The presidency has agreed that Dangote can operate in Naira. The question then is, why are the marketers not taking that fuel from Dangote refinery? Is urging the NNPCL and the marketers across the country to stop importation of fuel. But can you stop the importation of fuel when you know that a commission, a percentage, a kit cut, a cutback is happening outside the shore of Nigeria? Nobody will be able to get that from Dangote. They can only get that if they continue to import into the country. So what we are experiencing now is the true meaning of Nigeria, that it will not work. And that is the first reason why the 4 refineries that is in operation or was never in operation, because what we know is that the refinery were working up to the beginning, and all of a sudden they started deteriorating up to today. So what is the expectation of a country to work when we are not ready to buy the consume or the finished product from where it doesn't need to be exported, but it is right underneath our nose? Then the question is, we love importation because somebody is making money out of that importation.
And those people who are making that money are just a minority, just a small minority.
Well, you're quite right. They're the minority, but they're the powerful. They are the one that controls, what happens. And you listen to Dangote saying in that audio that, look, if you can do the same thing when you import and then you can get it and distribute it, what is making it difficult to come into our own, refinery and offload this? Because he's also losing money for every refined product. Remember that we are not even giving him enough crude oil in the first place. He has to get the crude oil into the country. So again, it looks like maybe Dangote will start re-strategizing whether this refinery plant will work or not. Or could it be that there was another arrangement that was made before Tinubu became the president that we are not aware of? Because information that is coming through says that, one of the Ohando that is related to family of Tinubu are refining the product in Malta, which again means that, you can't have that set up in Malta and expect the one in Lagos to work in full operational mode.
Interesting development from there. Because I remember the former president Obasanjo saying that why he couldn't get the oil refineries, the state-owned oil, the federal, the Nigeria oil refineries to be working, was that there were other people, some strong hands, who were doing everything possible just to not make it work, because they know that the moment it rises up and it's working, it's going to stop their businesses. But I don't know whether citizens are going to just sit back and they decide that let them enjoy, let them be rich, and then people are suffering, because now we have the NNPCL increasing or the prices of petrol.
Well, it looks like, after the closed-door talks with President Bola Tinubu at Aso Rock that led to the discussion that we just played out, he was part of a delegation of the Implementation Committee on the Crude Oil and Refined Product Sales in Local Currency. This was led by the Chairman, Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, the NNPC GMD, Mr. Mali Kaira, and was also at the meeting. The committee was at the villa to brief President Bola Tinubu on his activities since the federal government first announced the policy last July. He stated that the refinery can produce over 30 million liters of fuel daily at a full capacity and is currently holds about 500 million liters in reserve, enough to supply the country for 12 days in a row. It looks like maybe some might say that it will be too powerful for Dangote alone to supply the quantity that Nigerians are using, and maybe that is the reason why somebody is strangulating Dangote business on the side.
Honestly, that's why I like Gaddafi, because they were not importing any fuel into the country. They make it, they drill the crude oil, they refine it, they use it there, and they export.
And you're quite right. And many Nigerians that live in Libya are able to build at least a 2-bedroom house in Lagos. But when you are in Nigeria, you cannot build that because there's no enough. But in Libya, from what we are told, petrol is the cheapest, while water is the most expensive.
Yeah, so I don't get what our leaders are doing. But ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let your comments come through, and let's go to Yomi for the rest of the stories making it around. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, Goodluck Jonathan is in Botswana as African Union observe monitor the election. Election is coming up in Botswana, and the former president, Ebele Goodluck Jonathan, is one of the observers. According to the report, members of the African Union Election Observation Mission on Wednesday visited the polling station across Gaborone in Botswana capital to observe the Botswana election. This was made known in a statement that was shared by Goodluck Jonathan on his X handle this morning. We take more of the news coming out, but mostly let's look into again the business part of Nigeria news, because that is where many activities is happening on the ground. We know that the Binance executive that were detained in Nigeria seems to have now been manageable to be released, but it looks like many Nigerians are still looking into that section. But let's talk about VAT across the globe. Apart from the duty-free, you are likely to pay VAT on almost everything that you are buying. But the VAT distribution will be a win-win, according to Oyedele assures the northern governors. The 19 governors are against the proposed amendment to distribution of the value-added tax to derivation-based model. But the chairman of the Presidential Committee of the Tax Policy and Fiscal Reform, Taiwo Oyedele, have told the 19 northern governors that the proposal of the tax reform will be a win-win for all sides of the government. On the Tuesday, on his X handle, Oyedele said his committee shared the sentiment expressed by the northern governors regarding the inequality inherent in the current model of the derivation as a basis for distributing VAT revenue. On Monday, at a meeting with the traditional rulers and other stakeholders in the northern part of the country, the forum rejected the tax reform bill that was forwarded to the National Assembly. According to the 19 governors, says that the proposed law was against the interest of the North and other sub-nationals, especially the proposed amendment to the distribution of the value-added tax. So it looks like the 19 northern governors do not want exactly what other might want. They are really against that, and we're going to monitor that as we have it. Well, call for the new jet for Shetima is provocating. That is coming from Peter Obi. The Speaker of Borno Assembly, Abdulkarim Lawan, had now urged the federal government to purchase a new aircraft for Shetima. Shetima could not make it down to the Commonwealth Summit that is going on, or I probably believe has ended in Samoa, because while they were refueling at the JFK, there was something that dropped on the aircraft, and that literally means that the aircraft could not travel further. But according to the report, that we are getting, right now says also, I think I lost that particular story, but it's talking about getting a new, presidential aircraft for the fried president. Remember that Tinubu also was able to buy one when he came to office, but it seems that there is a push that maybe Shettima might also need one himself. So I think I got the story back as well. According to the report, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has now faulted the call for a new jet for the vice president, Kashim Shettima. Peter Obi, on his X handle yesterday, said the lawmaker who demanded a new private jet for Shettima is insensitive and unconcerned about the prevailing economic situation in the country. Last weekend, the Speaker of the Borno House of Assembly says that, Shettima's life is at risk and is now urgently needs a new aircraft. Like we said, on his way to the Commonwealth Head of Government meeting in Apia, Samo, which he could not attend. So we will monitor to see if that is going to happen. Food price continue to go up on the skyrocketing. Many Nigerians, I don't know whether you saw a particular video where spaghetti, was thrown out of the truck on the Kaduna Highway, and almost everyone surrounded the truck, regardless of whether the food was already, mixed with the, with the soil on the ground. Continue to pack it. How they're going to cook that, I don't know. But it shows that this particular government, is making life extremely difficult for millions of Nigerians, especially when we are hearing that, the military training ground has been overthrown by the Boko Haram terrorists. Many Nigerians cannot get to the farm. But again, Katsina government is now bridging the ICT infrastructure gaps to unlock full economic potential. Stakeholders, mostly drawn from the private sector, the Katsina House of Assembly and the executive arm of the government, agree to build a strong digital Nigeria. Well, we know that in the last couple of days, many Nigerians have struggled when it comes to the power sector that continue to affect businesses and many households as well. But as usual, when they talk about digital, they got to remember that digital is not just by mouth, it's by putting that infrastructure in place to make sure that things work. But as many people will say, we love talking, but we don't react and we don't even activate most of this as well. So let's now go straight to what is happening, more on the social media this morning. Like I said, this Court of Appeal is trending. Not too sure why that is trending this morning. I'm trying to see if we can find anything out of that. But as usual, many conversation is still not yet, many of Nigerians are still bitter that the House of Assembly have not really done much, when it comes to, the National Assembly that we expect to suspend. But rather than suspend, they've refused to suspend, this particular House of Assembly member that was threatening, the boat driver. So according to Chud, after 24 hours, the National Assembly is yet to issue a statement regarding the member of the House who assaulted an innocent boat driver. Take a look at the boat policy in the second frame. In a serious country, this lawmaker will pay dearly for his crime. And what does the policy say? And it says, open the boat, ride or the alien app, enter the package, pick up the location and the destination, select the boat side, send right type, confirm the trip, meet the driver outside and hand over the package. That means that you are not even allowed to move anywhere outside, your vehicle. But as usual, there's too many ogas in Nigeria. I'm going to take one more from there and then we go straight to what is actually trending on Nigeria. Then I'm going to return back again to you in the studio. In terms of, the self-determination, there's still a lot, that continue to be engaged. I'll be giving you a bit of the brief in just about a few minutes. But according to African Confidential, dear Nigerians, you understand and begin to accept that the hardship in Nigeria is deliberate. Your suffering will never end. It will only increase over time. In case you haven't noticed the pattern since you were born, that is not a prayer or a curse. It is just the unpleasant reality most of you are unwilling to come to terms with, perhaps because of ego beta, social condition, despite all evidence to the contrary right in your face that Nigeria is irremediable Like it or not, no amount of positivity or living in constant denial will make Nigeria any better. You will only be prolonging the inevitably, it's eventually when it's going to collapse. Salvation is God's ultimate plan. Is coming from another one here. I'm going to take 2 or 3 months and come back again to you in the studio. Well, Reno Oduala was one of those that campaigned during the, the NSAS until, the government then decided to attack the innocent Nigerians as they were singing the national anthem. And we saw the bloodbath. She has now relocated to America with many of the activists that were on the ground during the, the protest as well. But she posted something 18 hours ago. Less than 3,000 political office in Nigeria, yet they owed over 220 million people to ransom. The 220 million people sit down and wait for God to perform miracle on their behalf. Well, it looks like many Nigerians continue to wait for miracle, but it seems that the miracle is taking a long time. There's a video that is also trending where the VIO in Lagos State committing a crime live, because we were able to record them, not myself, but somebody were recording them. They were blocking the rear view of the driver while they were removing the plate number. And what that means is that when the driver drives further down, somebody will stop the driver to say, you haven't got a plate license on. And you can imagine the criminal activities of not just the government, but those that are employed to work in the government as well. And that's why some say Nigeria is just a crime scene that needs now to be looked into whether it is still reliable to work with. And that is why those that are campaigning for the right to self-determination continue to ask the question that for how long should we live in a society that your identity has been stolen? And yesterday again, the Simon Ekpa, was speaking, to all his, followers as the PM of the Biafra government in exile. And he posted again, cut across the southeast Nigeria, grim to a halt amid the threat from unnamed Biafran separatists. The inflammatory message accuses this court of bringing anarchy, death, insecurity, instability, instead of justice, equality, and fairness. It specifically blames the court for the governorship of Hope Uzodinma, whose statement alleges has destroyed the lives of women and children. Let me explain what that. Last week, Simon Ekpa gave an order that every court in the southeast must be shut down, and that is exactly what is happening. Nobody's no activities in the court because the Biafra government in exile is giving order from outside. And in as much as there are still governors in the state, the governors are also taking precaution. He also posted these to Ngozi Iweala. We know her as the current DG to World Trade Organization in America. But there has been a tussle of communication between Simon Ekpa and her. And Simon Ekpa posted this. Dear Madam, on her X handle, I never tweeted such. It is even surprising that you can tweet this because your name was mentioned. We have been tweeting about the Nigeria terrorism against your people. You never responded nor show any remorse. Here you are defending what nonsensity did with your name, but I've been mute about all the killings by the government you serve. I congratulate you for always defending yourself and your integrity. Even when the Photoshop, it shows you are really a murderer. Thank you for defending yourself, but I never tweeted such thing. It is false. What is it that Simon is responding to? There was a particular tweet that came out, went into circulation, that Ngozi Iweala will be approving billions of dollars for the Biafra as soon as they become a country. So you can see what AI has been doing between these two individuals, and that's exactly why Simon Ekpa was responding to that.
Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in London, and I'm actually here in the studios. Yeah, before you go, now what is happening with Nnamdi Kanu so far? Because it looks like Simon Ekpa is now pushing things, and he's saying that courts shouldn't operate, and lo and behold, courts are not operating because they are scared of what might happen if they break his rules. Yeah.
Well, Simon Ekpa says that for him to have any discussion, Nnamdi Kanu should be allowed to return to Finland and then maybe he might hand over and allow him to take show. Well, whether Tinubu government would do that or not. But 3 days ago, Igbo leaders demand Nnamdi Kanu's release, was part of the news that came out. The Igbo leaders have emphasized the urgent need for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu release from the custody of the Department of the State Service. They made the call at the service of song to the tribute for the late President General of Ohainze Indigbo, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu. They noted that securing Kanu's freedom was Iwanyawu's final mission before his passing, and appealed to President Bola Tinubu to grant Iwanyanwu last wish by releasing Nnamdi Kanu. But it looks like Tinubu is still more busy with many other obstacles that is surrounding him than Nnamdi Kanu. But what that means is that Simon Ekpa continued to make the push that December 2nd, the government should prepare for the declaration of the Biafra. And that means that we should all be gearing up for whatever eventuality, as the former president Olusegun Obasanjo says, that Nigeria is just sitting on the keg of gunpowder.
Of course. With what is happening, that's what he's a right summary to that. But have the authorities actually evaluated the sit at home that the Biafrans are taking, or IPOP is saying that the community should sit at home, the impact on economy as a whole? Have they actually?
Well, I'm sure, before President Tinubu came to power, they've monitored that. I'm sure his economic team has also monitored that, on a Monday morning, for the last couple of years, while President Buhari was there. Buhari could not stop it. I'm not seeing how Tinubu will be able to stop it. Most of the governors don't even return back to their state until Tuesday morning. That means that they leave the state on a Sunday and return back on Tuesday when everything is clear. They've asked teachers to go to school. That hasn't played out. They've had to open schools on Sunday because the threat that some says is there is the reason why people are not coming out. But what the government of the Biafra are saying is that, people are doing that willingly because they want freedom for themselves.
Okay, let's see. Maybe, as we've been saying, if they give everybody a referendum, we'll see the communities that want to be part of Nigeria. Those who don't want, then we see majority win that we don't want to be part of it. Maybe the amalgamation might be dissolved. But what do you think about all that? Let your comments come through. Yomi, before you go.
Well, I'll leave you again.